All right, sick. So gonna be doing a little gods token white paper read along here. Should be pretty boring, but hey, if anybody's interested, here it is. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, I do have limited time tonight. Got to record Pods Unchained, the only one and only podcast. Talk about all things Gods Unchained. You can find a link in the chat there. So luckily, Gia made it pretty easy on us, as a lot of this, I skimmed this before. This is my first time really digging into the pages that matter. But we have a 3-page executive summary, a 4-page game introduction, which I think we're all familiar with, at least if you're here. And then the final pages are info about the team and legal disclaimers. So, this is all speculative too. So it's really like 9 pages that really matter. Between the revenue model and the token utilities is what really matters. And those 9 pages could probably be 4 if they chose to go that route. So I'm definitely just going to skim this first part. It's all stuff we know about Gods Unchained. This is pretty much just an advert for GU, which, like, I understand, if this is somebody's introduction to the entire ecosystem, they, they may need to read it. Here's perhaps an important section why Gods matters. Says their tokens designed to become the core in-game currency for GU, similar to existing in-game currencies. It'll be rewarded to users through play. However, unlike existing currencies, it will be scarce and tradable. So, it's going to be part of the play to earn ecosystem. The how is further down in the paper, but they do promise it'll have multiple applications, so that's good. All right, so yeah, we figure it's designed to enrich the play to earn loop. But holders, this is the important part. Holders can use it to craft new NFTs, make in-game purchases, and vote in governance decisions. Now, I know a lot of governance tokens. It's pretty much like just decentralization theater, but I guess it remains to be seen how the Gods token works out. I'm playing the narrator today for sure. You think I should do audiobooks in my spare time? Nah, I don't know. I don't know the voice for that. Too nasally. So yeah, there'll also be a staking rewards pool. So any of these routes to take, I doubt that you'll have to pay gods to vote in governance decisions. You'll probably just have to stake it. But if you make in-game purchases or craft new NFTs using the gods token, those gods tokens are sent to the rewards pool, which will be distributed proportionally to people who stake the gods token. In addition, here's an important part there as well. 20% of all primary sales and 20% of secondary trading fees in GU will be paid for in gods. Now, these percentages are kind of interesting to me on account of, we know that there are fees coming down the line for like utilizing IMX. I'm not sure if this is 20% of the IMX fees or if it's 20% like tacked on top of the IMX fees, So yeah, I guess that remains to be seen. Maybe we'll find out further down the paper. But same mechanism as the IMX token as well. If you don't want to use the gods you hold as, payment, or if you don't have enough tokens for the purchase, you can pay entirely in a currency you choose. So in this case, probably ETH. And as you do that, 20% of the purchase will be automatically swapped for gods on the open market and sent to the rewards pool. So for holders, it's as simple as, you pay the fee in gods token if you so choose. If you don't hold gods token, at the time of purchase, it automatically market buys enough gods token to cover your fee. It just takes it out of whatever currency you choose. So it's a good way to guarantee that as long as there is usage and as long as there are people buying and selling GU cards on the secondary market, there will be constant buy pressure on the gods token, which is good because there will certainly be sell pressure as people earn it to take part in the play to earn ecosystem. Again, those gods tokens that are, market bought as you make your transaction. The gods token that's purchased is sent to the staking pool, the rewards pool, and distributed proportionally to all token holders who actively stake gods. All right, so a bit of tokenomics here. It has a fixed supply of 500 million, of which just over 1/3 is allocated for play to earn rewards, 25% to the GU team as a reserve, I guess to be used as like at their discretion, and then 20.5% to the community and ecosystem. So this implies that, we'll see further down. We'll get into all of this further down. You've also got a 7% community allocation, which is not the same as community and ecosystem fund. You also have a 7% token sale and 6.5% token foundation. So we'll find out what all that means a little later down. What is Gods Unchained? If you need the answer to that, I will direct you elsewhere. Got some numbers. Again, this is more or less an advertisement for Gods Unchained for the most part. But here we are. The juicy stuff. Page 10, revenue streams. Let me catch up with the chat here. 20% of sale price and 20% of the total fee is done in tokens. So that's what I'm saying, RG Commander. There's no way they're charging 20% fees on every purchase. So, I get that it's 20% of the fee is paid for in, God's tokens. It's just 20% of what fee? Is that included in the marketplace fee, or is this an additional tax on just all Gods Unchained transactions? I think it's been speculated that IMX, market fees will be 2.5%. I'd imagine that this is just going to be another 2.5% fee tacked on top of that, and then 20%, so 0.5% of the final sale price is what's going to be paid for in Gods. I'm just guessing. That's pure speculation. Please don't shoot the speculator. Let's rolling a 99. All right, Professor, on one today. It's not an add-on. 20% fee sounds like I might. If I pay $1 in fees, it's 20 cents, so that fee is done in tokens, right? As opposed to more fees being tacked on. See, that I'm not sure about, because again, once IMX implements fees, let's call it a 1% fee. So let's say marketplace fee of IMX is 1%. So no matter what kind of project or token you're trading on IMX, 1% fee. Now, Gods Unchained cards specifically, let's say they have an additional 1% fee. I think that's going to be how it's structured. And then of that God's specific 1% fee, 0.2% or 20% of that 1% will be paid for in God's token, the rest in the native currency. Same with IMX. 20% of that IMX 1% fee will be paid in IMX token, and the remaining paid in the native currency. Just my guess, all speculation, arbitrary numbers there. Without further ado, let's continue. So, built using a games as a service model. Game is free to play, that's for sure. Optional monetized content, i.e. new expansions. Hope everybody's had good luck on their packs. So yeah, we got, new expansion sets that can be purchased, in whatever currency they support on IMX, which as of right now is just ETH, or technically wrapped ETH. But apparently you'll be able to purchase with God's token. And then this is it, secondary market royalty fees. It's coming soon, right? Same as the IMX base market fees. A royalty fee is going to be introduced to all Gods Unchained trades in any Immutable X powered marketplace. All right. So that implies that on top of whatever marketplace fees you'll end up encountering, there will be an additional Gods Unchained royalty fee. And of that royalty fee, that's where 20% of the fee will be paid for in God's token. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if anything. So, but also, we got the rest of this page is chock full of information. So, here are some upcoming catalysts for driving user acquisition and retention. Again, a bit of an advert, more or less. All right, so here we are, God's tokens, page 14. This is page 14. A new digital asset to sit at the heart of God's chain. God's tokens are ERC20 tokens. As core currency, they're designed to enrich the play to earn loop. We read this exact paragraph all the way up there. But yeah, they'll be distributed as a reward through quests, matches, active staking, and rewarding players for staking. Yep, awesome. So here are the objectives of the token. They want to create a liquid tradable player reward system. They want to align incentives, and they want a sustainable economy. So here we are at what up, Hems? Good to see you, man. I'm doing all right. Just going through this white paper. All right, so again, fixed supply of 500 million. These are the percent allocations we saw before. This is the number of token that you get it. All right, so this is pretty important. Vesting schedules and unlocking schedules are awfully important parts of the overall tokenomics of any new project. So the play to earn rewards are set to be unlocked over 6 years, and the issuance begins 2 months after the token generation event. So after the God's token is created and distributed, 2 months later, I guess they estimate, you'll begin to earn God's token by playing the game. And if it's set to emit over 6 years, right, we can take this number divided by 6, and that'll tell us roughly how many God's tokens will be distributed per year. I'm assuming it's linear because it doesn't say otherwise. All right, so we have a 25% allocation to the God's Unchained Reserve. This is unlocked over 48 months. And again, I'm guessing linear, but there's a 12-month cliff. So it could be that, it goes 12 months. It vests for 12 months, essentially. Like, these tokens don't unlock in any capacity for the first 12 months. And then the entire amount unlocks over the following 36 months. Remains to be seen. Maybe we'll find out further down in the paper. Community and Ecosystem Fund, same thing, unlocked over 6 years. Community allocation, 7%. This is the retroactive airdrop. 3.5% immediately unlocked is the retroactive airdrop, and 3% unlocked over 3 months. Not sure what exactly that pertains to. Could just be that, the 3.5% that are immediately unlocked are eligible to immediately start staking and earn more gods, which could be paid out out of this 3%. Not 100% sure. Again, maybe we'll find out further down. And the remaining 0.5% will be a buffer used to mitigate any token claiming issues. And I guess this is just, keep it around in case they mess up this part and need to go up to 4%. And if they don't, I'm assuming it'll just go into this part of the pool. Token Foundation, 6.5% immediately unlocked. Again, Token Foundation, we haven't heard anything about what exactly that means so far in the paper. I'm guessing it could be for providing initial liquidity on decentralized exchanges, because any decentralized liquidity pool is going to need equal parts of both sides of the token pair. So if you want to create a decentralized exchange liquidity pool for the God's token and say ETH, you would need, if you want to put up, say, $1 million worth of God's tokens, you also need $1 million worth of ETH, vice versa. So that could be what this 32,500,000 is for, just providing the initial seed liquidity on decentralized exchanges, just to help it be a more liquid currency, and kind of bootstrap the its standing on the various decentralized exchanges. Remains to be seen. We could get more specifics later in the paper. And then the token sale, 7%, 35 million up for grabs. This is for people that buy through the CoinList pre-sale, and these will be unlocked over 12 months. Again, I'm guessing that vests in like a linear fashion, just like every say like every month you get 1/12 of the total amount you purchased, or every week you get 1/48 of the total amount you purchased, something along those lines. Same chart we saw above. Okay, so play to earn rewards. This is the amount that is set to be earned by the players for participating in the play to earn campaigns, such as weekend ranked rewards, daily token reward system, quests, seasonal rewards, tournaments, and special game modes. So it looks like they can just use this to pay out anything within the game. It would definitely be cool if they integrated it into the weekend ranked. I wonder if this has something to do with the gauntlet, or where you would have earned flux before, maybe you'll earn gods tokens. Same with this, maybe like completing the gauntlet gets you like a bonus amount or something along those lines. Maybe there's a new like quest mechanism that they'll bring in. Not sure about this. Not sure about this. Still waiting on that first tournament. Hopeful for this. Fingers crossed that we get some alternative game modes at some point. Tokens that are on Cliff are stakeable but not trade sell usable. Interesting. The only allocation that has any sort of cliff is the Gods Unchained Reserve, so I'm not sure what that. I'm not sure. Like, is that? We'll find out below. Yeah. So those are the tokens that are allocated to the company itself. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they would stake the token. Hold on, let's get to this next section first. Community and Ecosystem Fund. 102.5 million set aside as a rewards pool to foster community engagement. The purpose of this pool is to reward activities which are difficult to quantify but add significant value to the game and game economy. Kind of like maybe meme contests in the Discord, maybe meme deck contests, maybe art contests in the Discord, maybe. Nah, they have a concrete list down here. Let me get. Hold on. Part of the monthly allocation will be distributed to the community at the foundation's discretion. That's important. It's a governance token, but the community does not decide how the community fund is distributed. Another part of the monthly allocation will be distributed according to what's decided via monthly governance proposals. So some, right? What's the weight of each part? Like if there's a monthly amount available, like the foundation decides on X amount, the community decides on Y amount, right? What are those amounts? I'd be very curious to know. All right, so it includes but not limited to the following areas: community activations, community tournaments, community engagements, content creators, partnerships, referral rewards, grants, and liquidity mining. So this is an obvious one. Like I said, the way that you get your token available on various decentralized exchanges and make sure that it's liquid enough for people to sell what they earn or buy into the ecosystem if they so choose, you have to incentivize people to provide liquidity. They're not just going to park their capital somewhere, unless it's earning a yield for the most part. So being able to say, hey, like we have, 5 million gods tokens. If you provide liquidity in the gods token wrapped ETH pool on SushiSwap, you can earn a proportional portion of that 5 million gods tokens, as an extra incentive to provide liquidity. So this is definitely good to see. This is good to see as well as a host of various community tournaments. Obviously I love receiving ETH. It's it's the most liquid. But as long as the gods token is a relatively liquid token, I'd be more than happy to accept that for prize pools and the like. Community engagements and content creators, I'm very hopeful. However, I don't think they're referring to people like little old me. I'm pretty sure they're referring to bigger known content creators and kind of use it as like an onboarding incentive for those content creators, i.e. sponsored content. Like, hey, why don't you stream or make a YouTube video about Gods Unchained? We'll give you some of our token. It's worth X dollars. So hey, if you can create money out of thin air and use that to pay influencers, for lack of a better word, versus, you know, paying them in ETH or paying them out of your balance sheet. Yeah, that's always preferable, right? Partnerships, you know, could be something similar. Referral rewards, and the referral rewards and the community activations, we might see something like that play, stay, get paid promotion, but rather than getting, you know, a set dollar amount of ETH, now you just get God's tokens. It's always easier. Can't blame them one bit. So this is the most confusing one for me, but let me catch up with the chat real quick. Diamond Silver Watcher today. Got Diamond Rolling Thunder too. Damn, 2 halves of a Rolling Watcher. Also, what up, Count of Money Crypto? Good to see you, man. They knew I would turn to murder after all these developments. Oh, man. Hey, we still have, you know, 17 pages left. Maybe it turns around, or maybe we're actually on the third to last page that matters. 125 million, 25% of the total have been allocated to the company. Tokens will unlock over 48 months with a 1-year cliff after a successful token sale. So in my experience, what this means is after the sale, 1 year starts. After that 1 year, there's 36 months remaining. So these will be distributed over those 36 months in a linear fashion after the 1 year. So that's my understanding. Could be different. Not entirely sure. Again, like they say absolutely nothing about what these tokens will be used for. I don't really understand that. Maybe they use it to extend the 6-year period of play to earn rewards. Maybe they decide it'd be better used as a you know, an addition to the community and ecosystem fund. I honestly, you know, it's completely at their discretion. So I would love some clarity for what like 1/4 of the total supply is going to be used for. This would be like if I were investing in like a project, and this section was part of their tokenomics, that would be a big red flag for me. Just giving 25% of the supply to the team with like no stipulations on like how they go about using it. That's a red flag for me. I am glad that, you know, it's vested for 1 year and then, you know, pays out over 36 months after that. But I don't know. I could also be reading this wrong too. It feels like purposefully ambiguous. Either way, quick section. So community allocation. Here we are, guys. 7% in-game rewards. Recognize early supporters. That's us. 30 million will be allocated to the first event in which eligible addresses will receive tokens based on their general Genesis and Trial of the Gods collections. So we've already gotten that snapshot, right? That's interesting though. Up top it said 3.5 for the whatever. Let's finish reading. 2.5 million will be allocated to the second event, which play to earn event. Earn gods by playing. So this is probably like a group of quests, or like, you know, maybe it's like a tournament, and just like by participating, you know, whatever, well, remains to be seen. And this is that buffer that they spoke of earlier. But again, if we go back up here, 3.5% immediately unlocked, 3% unlocked over 3 months. So we got 0.5 and 0.5, 3 and 3. Here they say 6. So is it just like half of the amount that we receive in the airdrop is immediately available and the other half will like vest over 3 months? I have to assume. I'll be operating under that assumption. Okay, and then 6.5% will be allocated to the foundation and unlocked immediately. But, you know, like I was speculating up there, this portion of the token is used to provide liquidity to users, exchange partnerships, marketing, and other functions the foundation deems are in the best interest of improving the token ecosystem. So yeah, seed liquidity is how I read this. You know, providing seed liquidity, you know, and liquidity mining rewards programs to users on decentralized exchanges. It operates as providing liquidity to users and an exchange partnership that can be used as a form of marketing. So, you know, this seems pretty straightforward what this portion of the supply is going to be used for. And then we got the public token sale. So here we have a lovely chart. Maybe we can figure out. All right, so God's Unchained Reserve. Can we get this bigger? No, that's a PDF. So, oh, I guess we can try to zoom in a whole bunch. You guys still see that? All right, so this green section is the Gods Unchained Reserve. And you can see up until month 12, it accounts for 0% of the token supply. So yeah, that cliff that they were referring to seems to be what I thought, where none of those tokens are, part of the circulating supply. And then all at once, they get the 1 year's worth of vesting, just immediately unlocked. And then it unlocks in like a linear fashion for the remaining part of the 48 months. So that'll be interesting. I mean, ideally, it won't be in their best interest to just immediately dump it upon a huge unlock, but any supply shock like that is, it's not a good thing when it comes to, supply demand economics there. The only token I can recall in recent memory that had a cliff and then, a massive unlock, like a retroactive unlock essentially, was Solana. And that went great. Solana was trading around like $3 at the time, and everybody was super worried about the big unlock. It crashed to like, $2.20 or so in preparation for the big supply shock. And now it's like $140 a token. So sometimes unlocks can be a good thing. It all depends on what they do with the unlocked tokens. Do they keep them? Do they sell them? Do they use it to further the liquidity already on the market? Really up to them. But I would love to get some clarity on the sections where, like, the use for that portion of the token isn't like explicitly stated. I understand they want to leave themselves some wiggle room, but just having nothing in this section about like how this reserve is going to be used, that's probably my biggest ask at the moment. All right, so here we we finally got down to the utilities of the token. That's good. So yeah, clearly here we can see you spend gods and the game assets, which are, from my understanding as of right now, the only thing that this could apply to is the plain core cards to tradable core cards loop. So you pay gods tokens and your plain core cards. You take them to the forge and you receive a tradable token, right? But then the gods that you use to pay for that goes to the staking pool and is now earnable as rewards for people who stake and play. So it's a pretty simple, inclusive loop. You gotta like that. Yep. Players with two identical plain cards can combine them to create a meteorite version of the card, mints it onto IMX, gives it real world value, etc. A combination of gods tokens and in-game assets will be required whenever a user uses the forge to craft the new NFT. So the combination of gods tokens and in-game assets, I do wonder if the in-game assets here will include Flux, or if this just refers to those plain core cards. I know a big question on a lot of people's minds has been, is gods replacing Flux? Does it work alongside of Flux? No clarity on that yet. Gods tokens consumed by the forge will be allocated to the staking rewards pool. These will then be distributed to active stakers. Awesome. Let me catch up with the thing. And then releasing it at the cliff line. Yes. My opinion. Wait, I missed some stuff up here. Sorry about that. It gets rid of the legal section is a dumpster. Oh, I'm good on that. I read the thing about the 20% that I didn't get. Which 20%? Oh, the fees? Okay, yeah, no, I got you. Don't worry. All right, so whenever anybody, I guess like buys a pack or a chest, 20% of the fees on primary sales and 20% of the fees on secondary sales will be paid for in gods. So again, this is the exact same as the IMX token, I'm gathering. When you make any trade on Immutable X, once they activate fees, whatever the fee ends up being, 20% of that fee will be paid in IMX token. If you don't hold IMX token, let's say your fee that you pay on your transaction, just your fee is $1, 20% of that, so 20 cents, will immediately market buy the IMX token and use that to pay for it. It's going to be the same mechanism with the Gods token. If your fee is $1, you can pay it in ETH or whatever. If you have Gods token, you can pay it in Gods token. But if you pay your whole dollar fee in ETH, it'll just take 20 cents of ETH, automatically mark it by Gods token, and use that, as payment. And then that 20% will be added to the staking pool to be earned by people who participate in the play to earn ecosystem. So I guess they'll choose whether they want to spend their own Gods token on a purchase to save some ETH or a USD, or if they want to save their Gods for a different use. If they opt not to use Gods for a payment or don't have enough tokens to cover the fee, 20% fee will automatically be swapped on the open market. So again, this guarantees as long as people are trading Gods Unchained assets or purchasing Gods Unchained assets, there will be constant buy pressure on the Gods token itself, which is definitely good to, maintain its value. It definitely ties Gods to the heart of the economy and ensures Gods move sustainably through it. After a primary sale is actioned, it'll be moved to the staking rewards pool, where it'll be distributed to all users who qualify as active stakers. Awesome. So, I really like the economic system, like as far as, the distribution of like play to earn rewards, that 34% allocation being distributed over 6 years. So like as the player base grows, there's more Gods token released into the ecosystem. So like there's not, we don't get like a huge bubble that, people end up getting wrecked on inevitably. That said, like even after the distribution is completely, distributed, there is still that cyclical, okay, like as people purchase, that creates demand for the token, but it also gets, recycled right back into the play to earn supply of the token. So, yeah, it's a tight economic system. It's awfully simple, which is exactly what you want in a play to earn system like this, at least, in my humble opinion. All right, so staking rewards pool is where all of those fees and, payments will be sent to. They'll be distributed to all users that qualify as being active stakers. So what qualifies you as an active staker? I believe it said somewhere down here. Yes, the user must have voted on a proposal in the last 30 days and must have held Gods within immutable X for the full duration of the specified 7-day period. So staking means a little bit, something a little bit different to them than usual. Usually, like, when you stake a token, you deposit it onto a smart contract. But immutable X itself is a smart contract. So their definition of staking your token is just holding your Gods token on IMX. Now, how you transition from just staking to actively staking is by voting on a proposal in the last 30 days, which I find interesting. Like, are there going to be all that many proposals where they'll I wonder if like we get to the end of like a 29-day period with no proposals and somebody just puts up like give so-and-so all of the Gods token just so everybody can vote no on a proposal so they all qualify for that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, if an empty wallet receives Gods in the middle of a staking rewards interval, it will not be considered a qualified active staker until the next interval, where they've held for a full 7 days. Cool. So, proportional to the lowest amount held in their immutable X account. Okay, so whatever the lowest amount of Gods token you held during the 7-day period is how much will be counted as, actively staked. So in their example, somebody has 200 for the first 2 days. They spend 100, so it drops down to 100. Then they buy 400, it goes up to 500 for the last 3 days. So even though they started with 200 and ended with 500, only 100 would qualify as actively staked because that was the lowest, trough that it reached throughout the week. So that's interesting. Now I also, but like, I don't see any, this is one area I do wish that they, to this section, to qualify as an active staker, I wish they added just like play a game of Gods Unchained, like during that period. Because you can be like just a full-blown speculator, buy up a bunch of Gods token and stake it to earn more Gods token. And, all you have to do is hold it on IMX as you probably would otherwise, and then just vote on a proposal in the last 30 days. You don't have to play the game at all. I mean, if this is supposed to be, if these staking rewards are supposed to, be distributed to people who participate in the play to earn ecosystem, I'd prefer they had to play. But that's just me. All right, so governance and voting. This is going to be a big one. So if 6 million in pack sales, 1.2 million goes into gods. Nah, Crumpy. So it's not 20% of like the sale. It's 20% of that royalty fee. So as of right now, the price of packs is just a flat, whatever. Actually, you know what? That being said, I'm not sure if they're going to tack on a royalty fee to packs. So it very well could just be the value of packs. Like 20% goes to the staking pool. That would be pretty incredible, actually. Be a pretty big bump every time they release a new expansion. But I also am not sure they would do that. Very well could, though. Very well could. That's interesting. Definitely something to seek clarification on. Seems kind of complicated, but that's the point. Tokens are for investors as much as or more as for the players, not just you. All the players, I think, agree about it. Right on. Okay, good. Glad to see. Yeah, like I said, this is my first time actually doing like any kind of dive into this. I skimmed it before, but yeah, finding out a lot of things right now in real time, live on Twitch. Happy to be here. All right, so governance and voting. Okay, be able to vote on token-related proposals. So token-related proposals, not game-related proposals. So unfortunately, no community balance just yet. Via decentralized governance. Proposals include topics such as how to allocate token reserves, community and ecosystem fund distribution, whoa, careful, sponsorship or grant recipients. Okay, so this is a little worrisome. I don't know if anybody's followed the Uniswap governance token saga, but that is one of the premier examples of decentralization theater that I've come across in the DeFi space. The unique governance token functions very similarly. You need a certain amount to create a proposal, and then you can vote on said proposals, and the weight of your vote is directly proportional to how much of the uni token you hold. So the issue there is that the issue there is if somebody has a lot of money, they can buy up a lot of God's token, right? And if you give them decision-making powers over the community and ecosystem fund, how to allocate token reserves, and sponsorship or grant recipients, they could very well, make a, personal calculation. Okay, I can spend, $1 million on God's token, and then I can get enough God's token to have like a really solid chance at passing pretty much any proposal I put forward. So what if I just propose to allocate me $1 million worth of God's tokens on account of some in the name of some sponsorship or some grant? It becomes like an ROI-able equation. I'm not sure I like that. We saw something happen with Uniswap there where they allocated a bunch of uni to a bunch of different universities, in the name of like research and whatever. But what ended up happening is these universities banded together and they were like, hey, let's make a proposal where we get a big old grant worth a ton of money for more research, and then we'll just vote for it, And, because after, a few months there, people have fatigue, after a bunch of proposals come and go that don't really affect things, people might start paying attention a little less. So that opens up a window for somebody with, a large allocation, which in this case equals a lot of money, to come in and put forward self-serving proposals and vote them into action. So that's a little worrisome for me. I'm not so sure there's a great way to go about doing it, unless you have just like a hard cap on, like a max limit on how much God's token like each account or each address can have. But even then, that's circumventable. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of governance tokens unless they have a claim on revenue. which like technically these do. It's just this part still worries me, you know, like because these have a claim on revenue, getting access to more gods token is just inherently valuable if people are using gods unchained, if people are playing and trading gods unchained assets, you know. So yeah, I don't know, this is an attack vector to me, and yeah, I would definitely want them to like really iron out all of the issues that have fallen upon pretty much everybody else who's tried a governance token, you know, with no with no inherent value there, or an inherent value rather. Okay, so in order to submit a proposal for voting, an individual needs to own a certain threshold of gods tokens, same as the unit token, which will be determined at a later date. This will be important. You don't want to set it too high, then you gatekeep, and it's literally like it's just a whales game. Only people with high net worths or, you know, institutional investors will be able to make proposals. The foundation has the right to propose items to be put to a vote that are seen as positive for the ecosystem as a whole. I'm not sure who determines whether or not they're seen as positive, and will perform a facilitation role in the curation of proposals that will be voted on by all gods token holders. So it looks like you need a certain threshold of gods tokens to make a proposal, but then the foundation has final approval over whether or not those can be voted on. So that's another bit of decentralization theater. If there's a centralized entity deciding what goes to a vote, you know, all votes that successfully pass will be executed accordingly, and as soon as feasible, given consideration of commercial and technological implementation limitations. This is just a big hedge. Governance is performed on Ethereum with wallet balances sourced across both Ethereum and Immutable X. The more gods a user holds, the greater their voting power. So again, yeah, just I don't like this section at all. Like, to be honest, it's maybe this is something you do down the line after you've guaranteed like an even and healthy distribution, and maybe after the play to earn ecosystem is live for a while. So the people who play the game the most and, you know, are most dedicated to the game's success and have invested the most time and energy, you know, if the majority of the tokens are distributed to them, obviously like all incentives are aligned and everybody should be acting in everybody else's best interests. But doing it right off the bat, especially after allocating like such high percentages to not just the foundation but the private sales and, you know, previous investors, I feel like this should be tabled for like a later date and maybe never implemented. I don't think it's 100% necessary. We've investigated our proposal and think it's a good idea. Yeah. I need this stream downloaded into a video on YouTube so I can listen to it as a podcast. I'll see what I can do, Professor. I'll see what I can do. So yeah, I don't like really anything about this section. I'm not sure it's 100% necessary, especially at first. Is like, if they're going to be the ones deciding what gets put to a vote, they're going to be deciding what is feasible given consideration to commercial and technological implementation limitations, then just make the decisions. You know what I mean? Like, just make the decisions for a while, and then, you know, once we've ensured a fair and even distribution, then maybe you implement a system like this. Maybe, if you feel it's necessary. I also don't see any legal benefit to doing this. In fact, all I can see is inviting a bit more red tape into the picture, but who knows? All right, so looking at the development timeline, you know, we've seen these phases before. Last time we saw them, they meant little to nothing, so just skip that part. Here are their milestones and accolades. Here's their team. And here are all of the disclaimers that I will leave you to read on your own time.